Hi, I'm Shona, and in this video we paint 3 Flowerpot Inkies, and I share them in our Verge side free little art gallery. And for this little painting process, I'll be using the Meaden flat large water brush, and they're 100% cotton acid-free watercolour paper. It's a 300 GSM. I'm also using the FW Daler Rowney acrylic inks, and this whole flower pot fun project was inspired by Tracy Verdugo's video. I've done a couple of online courses with her and can highly recommend doing those. I'll put the link to her page in my description notes below. I was thinking of doing something for Valentine's Day to put in our free little art gallery, and then one of her videos came into my inbox, and I saw these gorgeous little flower pots, and it was just the perfect fit. So I decided to do some of my own, and you can just follow along and see both what I've done and what she's created, and get inspired and get into your own creative zone and create your own little funky ink flower pots. So I'm just using initially the process yellow acrylic ink, and the blue is the Prussian blue. And I'm using the large flat brush just to spread the ink a little bit, not getting sort of too precious about it all, just having fun, putting down some marks, and just generally enjoying the flow of the inks into the water that I've already. So I just used water initially and on the paper, and then added the inks on top of it, so you can see that they spread into the damp areas. Just putting some stems into the upper flower pot, still with the Prussian blue. So I'm coming in here, I've got a bamboo wipe, and I'm just coming in and dabbing away some of the Prussian blue that's quite dark. And I've moved to a smaller brush so I can do a little bit more finer embellishing. Adding the flowers, again using the process yellow. And you can just play around and make them whatever shapes you want. They don't have to look like proper flowers. Remember, this is all about having fun. Adding some layers, making some marks. Now I'm coming in with the Sun Orange, which is a pearlescent liquid acrylic from Dale Rowney. I just absolutely love the pearlescent range that they have. And when it dries, it leaves this shimmer across whatever you've used it for. It's just delightful. So I'm also adding a little bit of this Sun Orange to the bottom of the yellow flowers. And then I'm coming in with another pearlescent. It's the Hot Mama Red. Just creating some marks on the little flower pot. Once you start playing with these inks, it's very addictive. It's a great way to get into the creative zone when you have, you know, a spare half an hour to an hour to a few hours. And I'm using that Hot Mama Red also on the second pot. So the Prussian blue that I used has dried, and I'm just coming in over the top. And you can see the shimmer on this pearlescent. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer them for you if I can. I was going to use this beautiful bright, it's called a light green, but I changed my mind. I use it a bit later, but I changed my mind and went for a darker, it's called sage green. Just wanted that to contrast with the bright, the pink, the Hot Mama Red. And so I'm using the same green that I used on the flower pot just to do the stems, although it's coming out quite a bit lighter. That's the beauty of these inks, is the first pass over that you do is quite dark, and then the more you use what's on your brush, the lighter it becomes, so you can get all these variations in colour. And also, if the other inks are still damp, then you can get a lovely mix, which is what I'm getting underneath the pot there, where I'm doing a little bit of shadow. It's coming out a sort of a lighter sort of brownish colour. And on the first pot, where I'm going back to do a bit of a shadow, the purple is still damp on the pot, and so that's coming away, and I'm using that a little bit in the shadow area as well. I like this going backwards and forwards between the two, and as you see, I'll do a third one on the same page. These are quite small, so they fit within the palm of your hand, and they are absolutely perfect to go into our Verge side free little art gallery that has a lot of interaction with the community, people putting their own art in, and you can take a piece home, you can leave a piece, or you can exchange one for one. And I've had many elderly people stopping and chatting to me and coming back and putting things in. Had children, I've had artists. There's a lady who knits these beautiful little dolls. So yeah, just a huge wide variety of art and crafts. And I think it's really important to also pay people for their art. However, the free little art gallery movement is specifically for tiny art that people can engage in that may not normally get to art galleries, or may not, people with disabilities, people. I was chatting just yesterday to a lovely elder in our community. He came up the hill on a scooter and stopped as I was unlocking the gallery and asked me what exactly it was, and we had a long chat, and he said that he passes it almost every day on his way up to the shops, and he really loves looking in there to see what it is, but he didn't realise that you could, take a piece home, or that you could leave a piece. So we chatted about other things as well, family, and yeah, it's just making connections with people, breaking down people's isolation, and hopefully getting them into some form of creativity, or thinking about what they'd like to contribute into the gallery as well. So I'm coming in here with a brown, coming in here with a purple. It's called Velvet Violet. And I was just looking, but it's not one of the pearlescent ones. However, as you see here, I'm putting it a little bit over the top of the pink, and it still has a little shimmer to it as it blends in, I think, with the pearlescent Hot Mama Red there that I've got on there. So you could leave your pots really simple, or you can embellish them. I love doing little embellishments and lots of little marks, especially on the flower pots. And as you'll see later in the video, I do come in with some Posca pen, with a white Posca pen. So I'm just adding a tiny bit of the purple to the base of the yellow flowers. And I've also darkened the shadow underneath the pot. So I'm using the same small brush by Meaden, the water brush, to put down some water for the third little pot. And again, I'm coming in with this Velvet Violet. Possibly a little too much, but it's easily rectified if that happens. Again, I'm coming in with that little bamboo wipe just to take off some of the violet purple. And now I've decided to use that beautiful light green. Such a gorgeous match with the purple. And interestingly, these stems actually ended up being slightly darker than the stems on the second pot where I used the sage green, the darker green, because it had been watered down or had been, was the sort of second pass of the colour with the brush. So yeah, it's very varied and interesting to see how things unfold as you play with these inks. And as I said, I will put all the names of the inks in the description notes below if you don't already have them. And I'm just taking some of that purple and just using it to make marks on the flower pot and also to start the shadow underneath the pot. The inks do dry lighter than what they are when they're wet, so it's good to be aware of that. And if you want to have them darkened, then you need to sometimes come in with a little more ink once it's dried. Just adding a little bit of the green to the purple in the shading that I'm doing around the edges. And coming back in with the processed yellow, it's just so bright I couldn't resist using it on all three of the flower pots. Such a happy colour. And you only need to use the tiniest amount of ink. It goes a long way. Some people say the acrylic inks are expensive. However, I've found that they do last extremely long time. So it's definitely worth the investment. And here I'm using the Hot Mama Red, coming in and just doing some swirly sorts of flower images. and adding a tiny bit to the base of the yellow flowers. And I decided to put a few little petals down on the sort of table area. So there we are, and now I'm going to be very impatient with waiting for these to dry, and I decided to come in with my hairdryer and dry them off so that I could embellish them a little bit. Just be aware, if there's too much ink, then the blow dryer will blow the ink possibly out of your sort of picture area, so you need to make sure that it's mostly dry before you use the hairdryer. And now this is the fine nibbed Posca pen that I'm just using to highlight and just to, you can see me just dividing that. There was a fairly thick stem there, so I was just using it to divide that. And now I'm just coming in with some little marks on the flowers, little dots and little stripes, just to delineate little petals. However, if you don't have to do that, if you like yours just kept simple. I get carried away and always love doing these little tiny embellishments. And while the Posca pen is still wet, it's very easy just to dampen that down with your finger or wipe it away altogether if you don't like it. In this one that I'm working on at the moment, you can see me doing that with my finger, just wiping it in a little bit so that it dries very light. This little one wasn't in the Free Little Art Gallery for very long. I popped them in and this was gone by the time closing time came. So somebody was very drawn to it and took it home with them. Sorry about the blurring here. The camera seems to have picked up the Posca pen, the details on the Posca pen rather than the actual vase, the flower pot. There we are, it's come back into it's automatic focus. So as you can see, these are so much fun to do, and please check out Tracy Verdugo's work. Hers are different to these ones, but were the inspiration for these. So I've darkened the centre of that particular flower and just putting some little highlights around the edges. And I'm just putting in some rough marks across this one in the white. However, it does dry a lot lighter, and so I do come in a second time over the top of them just to help them to show up a little better. I hope you're inspired to create your own little flower pots, little inkies, and get into your creative zone. It's very easy to get carried away and do more and more of these. They're just very sweet. The good thing about the Posca pen is it does dry very quickly, and so it's much easier than the inks if you want to then start cutting the paper afterwards. And there they are, 3 little fun inky flower pots. I'm just using my measuring mat and ruler just to cut them down. There, I'm very happy with that. And they are ready to go in the gallery. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Ciao for now.